and I can name them. Ghana was one, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Egypt, Tunisia, South Africa. From these 8 countries, there was 45%, and interestingly, the 45% included 45%. That 45% average is reflective of Ghana's average. And interestingly, it included members of the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Bedouagwa, you can bear me out. You send them the questionnaire. 45% of these people belongs to the 90% category who have heard of AFTA. When we ask the question, what is going to be your response over the next 5 years for your business strategy? 45% said 0. Essentially, they don't really think that this is going to change anything for them and the business will remain the same. I just want to use that figure. If I drill down on the data, you will find out that things which are very revealing. That is why in the Year Zero report, we ranked Ghana regarding its readiness and commitment as against people's ability to meet, its commitment as people's ability to move from commitment to readiness to trade. Now, this data means that the likes of GNCCI should be doing more than it is doing. And in order for them to do more for their members, for them to take advantage of this, I have just 3 recommendations. One is that they must help their businesses to create strategies, and strategies can be created in a collective manner based on some of the principles that I have outlined. And strategy is industry specific, and it's important that we help them do that. 2, it means you must go beyond after talk shop to actually lobby government. And lobbying means lobbying for specific policies to be put in place. Yes, I'm aware that government is doing a lot. I've already talked about 1D, 1F. I'm aware of the National Export Development Strategy, which clearly fits into AFTA. I'm aware of the upcoming Ghana Enterprise and things like that I believe Mr. Yamabe will talk about. But when you look at it from a business perspective and how it directly affects businesses' conscious effort to lobby government to go into the details, the devil is always in the details, really helps. Otherwise, government will do the policy, but business may not be able to take advantage of it. Lastly, it is important that the likes of associations and organizations like this put in place mechanisms to monitor the sectors their members belong to see whether or not they are actually making any progress in the area of the strategy that they have developed or the direction the association want them to go. And let me take the opportunity to warn the associations. If we actually do business as usual, we will belong to the first 15% I talked about. And what do I mean by that? Associations can also fall into the trap of doing business as usual. Very often, very soon, if you do business as usual and do not help your members to take advantage, others will take advantage and the associations themselves will die. So the associations themselves are as threatened as the businesses individually because you thrive on your membership. So you have a duty to help your members to take advantage of AFTA. And for me, it is very simple. It will require that processes are reinvented at the business level and processes are reinvented at the association level so that in this reinvention, we can take advantage of this new era, which requires a reinvention to integrate into the wider African market. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The challenge you go through when you have to summarize a very good presentation. Everything he said is so good. I know which one to drop, which one to take. But the key things are that business strategies should be two-pronged. So you as an individual must have your own strategy and make sure your strategy is fitting into the AU strategy. Now, 3 key strategic business areas that I picked: transportation, because there's going to be a transportation corridor that will open the continent up, the power sector to help industries, and then also issues relating to the removal of tariff barriers. Then the need for us to lobby government, the need for the associations and their members to continuously monitor to make sure that the strategies that they have put in place are being followed. Otherwise, you develop cold feet and never get anything out of this whole business. And then a general strategy. The issues of visibility is also important. Make sure that we have a country strategy that we know as businesses and associations. Then key places that businesses could be looking at for export that are trending is feeding, housing, clothing, and then I think I added the drugs. So thank you very much, Mr. David Ofosu-Dorte, for those insights in terms of strategy. And I'm sure that businesses both at home and here have put a lot of points down to make sure that they actually key into this. I've put my own key pointers down for the media sector that I belong to. We'll go straight to the next presentation, and we will look at a presentation on challenges, opportunities for the pharmaceutical industry under the AFTA, and that will be done by no other than Mr. Bediako Sampong. Now I'll give you a bit of a brief about who Mr. Sampong is. He's actually been in this industry for the past 30 years. He set up his company in 1986, and then it went into the limited liability stage in 1993. In 2001, the company went into the manufacturing sector with a brand promise of providing quality and affordable medicines. His visionary leadership has moved the company from a one sales outlet to a business entity with retails and wholesales company across Ghana. He's committed to contributing to the growth of the pharmaceutical industry in Africa and improving healthcare delivery and also support. So far, they have done some donations to the COVID Trust Fund and also some donations to the various isolation centers. Mr. Bediako Sampong was appointed as the president of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, where he served by showing leadership and bringing out his wealth of knowledge in the pharmaceutical sector. He has also many international and local recognitions. He was adjudged the Pharmaceutical Chief Executive Officer of the Year, the most influential CEO in Ghana under the Ghana Pharma Awards, CIMG Marketing Man of the Year, and then Entrepreneur of the Year under the Ghana Business Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Bediako Sampong.
Good morning, Mr. President, GNCCI, CEO, Ghana Shippers Authority, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be part of this seminar. The AFTA is a laudable idea, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I say this because we tried shipping into some of the Francophone countries some few years back, and it wasn't that easy. We also tried sending some of our products into some other countries. They said, no way. If we allow you to get into our country, we're going to lose some business because people prefer products from Ghana, and Ghanaians wouldn't accept our products. So it's not that simple. So let's look at the pharma industry in Africa. All the pharmaceutical manufacturers in Africa are members of the Africa Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association. This was established somewhere in 2013. And there are 53 countries in regions with 600 pharma manufacturers. The population of Africa is about 1.3 billion people. And the size of the pharma business is about 30 billion, with an annual growth rate of 20.4%. Let's also look at the pharma industry in West Africa, which is called WAPMA, that is West Africa Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association. This was established in 2005, that's about 16 years ago, and there are about 200 members. With a population of about 307 million people in the sub-region, and the estimated pharma size of the business is about 5 billion, with an annual growth rate of 6%. We come to the pharma industry in Ghana, and we all belong to a group called PMAG, that is the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana. This was established about 30 years ago, that's 1991. And we have about 37 members. Looking at the population of about 30 million in Ghana, the estimated pharmaceutical sizes, that is business, is about 600 million, with an annual growth rate of 11%. Only about 30% of their pharma products are manufactured in Ghana. The rest are, that is about 70%, are imported, which is a bit unfortunate. But we're trying that by the next 3 to 4 years, we'll have achieved about 70% of the needs of our pharmaceutical products. As I said earlier, the AFCTA is a laudable idea, but still it's not that simple because of our attitude to everything, like not being able to send products to Francophone countries on time. And I believe that this framework, if you are that serious, it's very good and it's going to deliver some positive growth for African business and companies, especially with reduced tariffs. But I also expect that there will be quotas, because in some of the Asian countries or European countries are giving quotas. Look, within Europe, let's not buy more than a certain percent of products from certain countries or outside Europe. So if we are able to implement such quotas, I think it will go a long way to increase business within the sub-region or Africa in general. We also believe that it's going to facilitate trade and services. Also, we're going to have an enlarged market, and as such, there's going to be diversified exports, particularly manufactured goods. There are opportunities for, the pharma industry, in the sense that we are going to access a bigger market. Ghana is we are about 30 million people, whereas Nigeria is about 200 million plus. So if the ACFTA protocols or whatever are well implemented, I believe we're going to have a bigger market to access, and also going to be good for both countries. We're also going to have economies of scale. When importing, let's say, a kilo of paracetamol, that is quite expensive. That's against importing about 1,000 kilos or whatever. So as we assess some of these markets, or as we assess bigger markets, we'll be able to buy products at lower cost, and as such make more profit and expand our businesses. Also, we're going to employ more people to work for us. There's also going to be foreign direct investment, such as companies coming from Europe or elsewhere, especially Asia, to site the factories over here, because since there's going to be more business within the continent, some of the Indians are going to lose out. So the best way to enter Africa would be to either partner or set up factories in Africa. Also, we could have value addition to raw materials. We're going to convert more cassava into alcohol and more raw materials into finished products. We're going to have transfer of technology. I'm sure companies like GSK, Pfizer, and some of the other multinational companies who prefer setting up plants or collaborating with some of the existing companies to enable them export into the sub-region. Also, it's equally important for us in the sense that there's going to be the possibility of medicine security. It's unfortunate that a lot of our medicines are imported, but I believe that with time, we're going to set up vaccine factories and that sort of thing. It's also going to boost, we're going to have an increase in industrial establishment because we're going to have a bigger market. Penetration is going to be easier. At the same time, we foresee certain challenges. Looking at the factories that we have over here, we're not that big. We're not that big. But as against factories in the northern part of Africa and South Africa, here you find the big companies in Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt, then South Africa. So where do we stand? So we will have to lift our game. And it's a serious challenge so that we are not left out. It's unfortunate that not all countries have ratified the ACFTA document. It's a bit unfortunate because I doubt if Nigeria has ratified, but the Nigerian market is very, very big and important for us, But we should be very careful because bigger players from India, again, North Africa, may dominate the business, and from where we sit, we realize that, some of these countries have better infrastructure. Putting out a factory over here, my own experience, you buy a plot, you lose it because someone tells you he's paid for it already. So you go to court. Was one of our factories, we had to go to court for 6 years. 6 years. After that, we need a case at the court. The infrastructure over there not well developed. Water, electricity, and all those things, the utilities. So it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation because at the end of the day, you'd have spent about 30% of your capital, fighting land cases, developing the infrastructure and other utilities. And here, access to funding is quite difficult. We know of certain countries where the interest rate is about 4%, even some 0%, that sort of thing. How do you compete with companies accessing capital in such countries? So I think our leaders should have a good look at this area if we really want to develop our pharma industry. It's also unfortunate that there are quite a number of people who prefer foreign products or imported products to what's locally made here. Someone will come, Ernest, do you take your own products? Yes, I do, and they doubt me, but it's a fact. These days, We've improved packaging. The quality of our products are of international standards. So we ought to improve on some of these areas that we're not very strong. And then I'm sure there are certain countries that there's a lot of political instability. Therefore, entering some of these countries to do business will not be that simple. That's why I said that we needed an attitudinal change. We also need a lot of commitment if you really want to make this work. It's worked in other regions. For example, NAFTA, I'm sure if you go to the EU countries is there, if you go to Asia. So why shouldn't it work in Africa? But it needs that sort of courage, commitment. So the way forward for us to actually do well in Africa is that we must have comprehensive and workable policies and a framework for effective implementations. The best thing is if you register a pharmaceutical product in Ghana, why do you go in, or why do you have to register it again in Nigeria? These are the things that we should be looking at to make business simple for all of us. In Europe, you register in maybe Belgium or whatever, and there's no need to go to Germany or whatever and have a second registration. We should also try and harmonize regulations, policies, systems, and processes. Again, on registration. If you register in Nigeria or whatever, I think it should be, there's no need to go into Togo or whatever. As I said earlier, funding is very difficult. Capital, that's money, very expensive in Africa. We have to pay for one of our projects. We have to pay about 18%, as interest rate. Whereas in Japan, I'm sure it's about zero negative. In the States, about 2 to 3 or 4%. India, about 8 to 9. So where do we stand? I think our governments, not only in Ghana, in Africa, we should be serious and support our industries with, flexible payment terms, and also should pay at good rates. I think we should also invest in human capital. Business is a dynamic entity. People are coming up with all sort of products. People are coming in. There was a space program that we were discussing. Whilst people are trying to go to Mars and that sort of thing, we are rather, committing ourselves to rather unfortunate, petty things. So once again, I think we should be committed in investing to pharmaceutical infrastructure. There's one aspect of the pharmaceutical industry that is what is called HVAC. For every efficient factory, or every good factory, the HVAC that manages ventilation is very important, and at the same time quite expensive. Because if GSK is coming to partner you to produce Panadol, the HVAC is one of the systems that to be looking out for. So I believe that we should waive taxes on such, equipment. We should waive taxes on such equipment so that we will be left with more money to buy other equipment and that sort. So, in conclusion, the AFCTA presents us with opportunities for several industries, including the pharma industry. And I believe that the pharma industry is one of the industries that actually create employment. There's a lot of export, a lot of revenue to be generated. So the authorities must make sure that every support is given to that industry, that is the pharma industry. And the AFCT has also created a platform and access to 1.3 billion people. So I think it's a good thing. We should try and make sure that we have the right infrastructure, to be up and ready, to do more business. Yeah, COVID-19 has disrupted the regular supply chain, and this creates the opportunity for companies to engage new countries with new products or solutions. It's unfortunate that we're not able to produce the vaccines, because our factories are not ready for that production. But we shouldn't wait. I'm sure we pray that it should be the end of such whatever, but you never know. So it's important that we are given the necessary support for us to prepare ourselves for such situations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sampong. And the key things, the fact that on the ground, especially in some Francophone countries, there are challenges. The need for quotas, the need to take a look at political instability and access to finance. Thank you for your contribution to the program. We go straight on to a presentation on the protocols, exactly what the rules and regulations are, and that will be done by Mr. Anthony Nyame Berfi. Okay, so let's say a bit about you so that people know a bit about yourself. So he is a master's holder in business administration marketing option from the University of Leicester, England. World Trade Organization, he's worked there as a trade policy. He has a diploma there on trade policy, a postgraduate diploma in international trade from the India Institute of Foreign Trade, that's New Delhi. Mr. Nyame Berfi was the Director of Multilateral, Regional and Bilateral Trade of the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Accra, Ghana from 2014 to 2019. He was responsible for the coordination of Ghana's participation in the World Trade Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, let us, with a round of applause again, invite Mr. Nyame Berfi.
The President of Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the President of Ghana Shippers Authority, the CEO of Ghana Shippers Authority, the President's representatives from Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry, CEOs of private sector organizations and business associations here, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm happy to be part of today's program. And as the representative from Ministry of Trade and Industry said, it has been one of the strategy of the ministry to synthesize, or whenever we are called upon to come and educate the public on the after, so that the private sector will take full advantage of it to enhance the economic development of Ghana. So I'll go straight to the presentation. Unfortunately, it looks like, I don't know, they are having some challenge with the PowerPoint that they requested from us. But I will start. So anytime you are ready, we will go ahead. So basically, with respect to my presentation, I will start with the the introduction, then talk about the key objectives and benefits of the AFTA, then go and explain some of the salient features in the protocols, then talk about the measures that the government is putting into place to level the environment and then the playing field to enable the private sector take advantage of the protocol. So as you might have been hearing, the AFTA provides an opportunity for every company to take advantage of the about 1.27 billion population with a GDP of 3.5 trillion. And then as Mr. Ofosudate said, if you look at the purchasing power priority, it's just around 6.4 trillion. So it's quite huge. And a lot of this population are the youth in Africa. You know the taste of the youth for more products. And it's the second largest free trade area after the World Trade Organization. And for the key objectives and the benefits, the first one is that it will boost intra-African trade to better harmonization from the current about 18% to about 52% within the next 3 years, according to statistics from United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. The second benefit is that it will also address the challenges of small fragmented markets in Africa, because you realize that in Africa, apart from some few countries, the rest have only small population with small economies, most of them even below 5 million. But when it comes to joining us together, it will boost what we call economics of large-scale production, because you produce not only for your country, but then you can export to other African countries. The next benefit is that it will add value to the abundant resources, natural resources that we have in Africa to promote economic diversification and industrialization. Then the next one is that it will develop regional value chains and facilitate cross-border investments, so that if it is properly implemented, we will be having a lot of made-in-African products, where you can add value to a raw material from, say, Liberia, because they have natural rubber, and they can add value to make maybe ties. Then if we have a strategic automobile assembly plant in Ghana, we can import from there, leather from, say, Ethiopia, then assemble and add more value in Ghana, so that at the end of the day, though the product will be made in Ghana, you find out that we also source from other things. And in the process, it will create huge employment opportunity for the teeming youth. The AfTA, as was also hinted by the earlier speakers, it will also attract foreign investment, both foreign direct and then joint investment into Africa to create more factories and then create more employment. And then it will also enhance access to an expanded market for the teeming SMEs, small, micro, small, and medium enterprises, which in Africa constitutes about 80% of our businesses. So they can use this opportunity to export to Africa, strengthen their position, and then also launch to the rest of the world. So it will generally boost SMEs development. Then for Ghana in particular also, we are also expecting that the AfTA will substantially boost, once we have the AfTA Secretariat in Ghana, it will substantially also boost Ghana as the financial hub, and then a lot of benefits will also come from that. So the next outline that I want to just to give you some historical perspective about the AfTA. The idea of having AfTA was adopted by the heads of states of the AU member states in 2012. And at that summit, they also adopted what they call action plan to boost intra-African trade, because they realized that reduction of tariffs alone will not be enough, but rather there's the need to boost, improve our infrastructure in Africa, and also boost our production capacity in order to take advantage of AfTA. And in 2015, the negotiation of AfTA commenced in earnest. And the first phase was completed in March 2018 in Kigali. And at that summit, 44 member states signed the agreement. And as at now, we have 54 out of the 55 EU member states who have signed the agreement, apart from Eritrea. And then when it comes to ratification of the agreement, currently we have 36 member states ratifying the agreement, the last one being Zambia. And it may interest you to know that Nigeria ratified the agreement in December. So it's a very big boost to ECOWAS and then the entire African continent. One thing I want to assure you is that the AfTA, in coming out of the negotiations, at that time, I had the opportunity of being the chief trade negotiator for Ghana. And we took into consideration most of the challenges that the regional economic communities were facing in their free trade area, like the ECOWAS. We have the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, that some countries were not abiding by them. But then at that point, you realize that they were not abiding by them because there was not enough protocol under the ETLS to address dispute settlement. So some countries will take advantage of your market and then block theirs, and they know that they will go scot-free, more or less. But this particular one, we took into consideration, so there's a protocol on procedures and settlement of disputes, so that if you take advantage of people's market and you block yours, you can be sanctioned appropriately. So we think this AfTA will definitely be superior to the ETLS, and it will enhance regional integration in Africa. Yeah, so let me continue with the journey so far. Sorry for the digression, but I think it will benefit all of us. So you realize that after the agreement has been signed, in the agreement, it is stated that when 22 member states ratify the agreement, a month after that, technically implementation will commence. So by April 2018, more than 22 member states had ratified the agreement. So from May, implementation commenced. And then in July 2018, at the extraordinary summit in Niamey, the African Union member states selected Ghana to host the agreement after 8 member states have expressed interest in it. So we thank the AU for that privilege and opportunity. Then in February last year, the first Secretary General, Mr. Wamkele Meni, was selected to lead the organization. And we are quite happy because Mr. Wamkele also used to be the chief trade negotiator for South Africa. And then by his background also, I remember when we were in Geneva representing Ghana, he was also the deputy ambassador for their mission representing South Africa in World Trade Organization. So he has quite a lot of experience when it comes to handling and maneuvering for smooth implementation of free trade agreements. So last year, in August 2020, Ghana fulfilled its obligations for hosting the agreement and handed over the secretariat to the AU. Then the implementation or commencement of trading should have started in July last year, but because of the COVID, some of the technical issues could not be addressed, so it was pushed, and the commencement of trading started from 1st January this year. So now I want us to go to the agreement. Please, if you can show it, yes. So in the agreement, at the apex, we have the AFTA framework agreement. Then below that, we are expected to have 6 protocols. The first one is protocol on trade in goods. The second one is protocol on trade in services. Then the third one is protocol on rules and procedures for settlement of dispute. And these protocols have been completed or finalized under the phase 1. And in phase 2, we're going to have 3 additional protocols. And that is going to be investment, competition policy, and then intellectual property rights. And this is going to commence from June this year. And under the protocol on trade in goods, we have 9 annexes that will help smooth the implementation. And the first one is the schedules of tariff concessions. Then the annex 2 will be rules of origin. Then we have customs, cooperation, and administrative assistance. Then we have trade facilitation, technical barriers to trade, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Then we can also talk about trade remedies. And basically the trade remedies is to prevent dumping of goods from other countries to injure companies operating, for example, in Ghana. And there they have 3 main measures that you can use to address that. We have the anti-dumping measures, safeguards, we have the subsidies and countervailing measures. And in Ghana, we are happy that we have the Ghana International Trade Commission that is well versed in that. So be assured that in the course of the implementation, if there are challenges of your companies facing undue competition from other companies in Africa, you can contact the GITC or the Ministry of Trade for us to see what we can do to help you. Then under the trading services also, we're going to have the MFN, we're going to the air transport agreement that the African Union member states also signed will be attached as an annex. We have the list of the 5 priority services areas. Then we will also have the regulation cooperation covering the sub-sectors. Then in the annex on dispute settlement, now the member states have also agreed on the working procedures for the dispute settlement. They have come out with the expert review and then the codes of conduct for the panel members, the appellate bodies, and what have you, who will see to the implementation of that agreement. Now, let me go to the salient features in the Protocol on Trade in Goods. Sorry, I think the heading is misleading. So, under the Protocol on Trade in Goods, it has been agreed that 90% of the tariff schedule of all the member states will be liberalized. And then, after that, 7% of their sensitive products will also be liberalized. And then 3% of the goods will not be liberalized. So we call it the exclusive list. And in coming out of the 7% sensitive goods, and then the 9%, the 3% exclusive products, they took into consideration the food security, national security, fiscal revenue, livelihood, and industrialization policies. And in a nutshell, it was decided that in Africa, when you look at the UN definition of countries, in Africa, we have developing countries and least developed countries. Unfortunately, more than 2/3 are least developed countries. So it means that only few have more or less an advanced economies. So it was decided that the least developed countries will be given more time to liberalize their products so that they can adjust accordingly. So in the trade in goods, it was decided that the developing countries will use 5 years to progressively liberalize 90% of their products. Then they will also use additional 5 years to liberalize the 7% sensitive products, so that by 10 years, developing countries would have liberalized 97 of their tariff lines to 0, whilst 3% of them will be excluded. Then for least developed countries, they will take 10 years to liberalize 90% of their products, and then additional 3 years to liberalize 7% of their products, so that by the 13th year, 97% of the products would have fully been liberalized to 0. And in coming out of that also, it was agreed that member states who belong to customs union should also have uniform liberalization. So for example, if you take Ghana, we are members of ECOWAS. And it was decided that the countries belonging to customs union or common external tariff they will, depending on the number of least developed countries or developing countries, the majority of them, they will take on the responsibility of either developing country or least developed country. So if you take Ghana, we are members of ECOWAS, and in ECOWAS we have only 4 developing countries: Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cape Verde. And the remaining 11 are least developed countries. So majority are least developed countries. So it means that for ECOWAS member states, we're going to take on the responsibility of least developed countries. So for Ghana, we're going to liberalize 90% for the next 10 years, and then additional 3 to make it 97, although we are a developing country. So those are some of the benefits you get from belonging to a customs union. But if you take a customs union like SACU, they have more developing countries, so it's rather the vice versa. So for the protocol on trade in services, it was decided that although we have 12 subsectors according to World Trade Organization definition, if we want to liberalize all the 12 sectors, it will take some time. So the heads of state agreed that we should take 5 priority services sectors and liberalize. That will enhance intra-African trade, and then later on take on the remaining 7 services. So for this particular one, they took the 5 priority sectors as transport, communication, financial services, tourism, and business services. That has been agreed to cover the first phase. And this, apart from the request and offer, like what we have in the WTO, the member states are also going to come out with the regulatory cooperation to ensure that it is liberalized within the shortest possible time. So now let me touch on the protocol on rules and procedures on settlement of disputes. So the protocol is going to be the main legal backing for the implementation of the AFCFTA. So any member state that is aggrieved in implementation of part of the agreement, you can send your petition to the dispute settlement body to address them. So they will do the interpretation. So if you are aggrieved that a particular country is not being fair to you, you can send the petition to the dispute settlement body, and they will see how they can address it. But the dispute settlement body operates just like the WTO one. So initially, you are encouraged to do consultation with the member state, and if that is not addressed, then you send it to the dispute settlement. And then, so in a nutshell, the dispute settlement will enforce the rights and obligations of the member states, and then will also determine sanctions for non-compliance with the agreement. And this is very crucial. In the ETLS, there is nothing like that. At that time, the assumption was that once a company is facing some challenges and the government writes through Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through a note verbal to the other country, they will immediately address the issue. But this has not been happening. So that's why we have this there. Okay, so after going through these salient features, now let me talk about the action plan for boosting intra-African trade. And as I said, in 2012, the heads of state also adopted this action plan to boost intra-African trade because they realized that tariffs will not address the issue. So in this action plan to boost intra-African trade, they came out of 7 priority clusters. And this includes the need for member states to have consistent trade policy, address their trade facilitation issues, enhance productive capacity, that is industrialization, trade and development finance, trade-related infrastructure, both transportation, that is movement of goods across the borders, and communication to support clearance of goods and e-commerce. Then trade and development finance to support their their companies, and then trade information to enable us fast-track the export and import of goods across Africa, and then the factor market integration. So for Ghana, as you heard from the rep from the Minister for Trade, we have set up institutional structure to support the implementation. We have the interministerial, we have the National After Coordination Office to provide information to everybody who wants access to it. Then we have the technical working groups, and then we are embarking on sensitization across board. And preliminary studies have also indicated that if you look at our past exports for 10 years, Ghana has persistently exporting positively. That is, our balance of trade is positive. So when we take advantage of this after, we're going to actually benefit substantially for it. So for Ministry of Trade, since 2017, we have come out of this 10-point industrial transformation agenda just to boost our productive capacity and improve the business environment. So we have the one district, one factory. We have industrial revitalization and stimulus packages. The ministry has also come out of these strategic anchor industries, which we think that will spearhead the process to enable new industries come out into the system. And then last year, we launched this National Export Development Strategy with the aim of increasing our export, non-traditional export, to 25.3 billion by 2029. So all the arrangements have been put in place to ensure that the member states take advantage of it, and then we to take advantage of the process. So because of my time, I want to conclude by saying that the AFCFTA constitutes the most significant development in Africa integration process, and it will enhance our non-traditional export. And by all studies, Ghana is going to be one of the beneficiaries if the private sector take advantage of the AFTA. And that now the government has also promised to support the successful implementation of the AFTA Secretariat, and then also boost production into the export market. So we need the private sector to take full advantage of the AFTA. And if you are having any challenges, don't hesitate to contact Ministry of Trade or the AFTA Secretariat Office or the Ghana Export Promotion Authority for assistance. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Because we may be going off the live pretty soon, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the speakers that have spoken so far, and also to say a big thank you to all our sponsors, including Joy Business, the Ghana Shippers Authority, the Bank of Africa, Ghana Web, Business 24. Without you, this program wouldn't have come this far. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'd move quickly to a presentation on market access and opportunities by Mr. Gerald Nyako Mensah. Mr. Gerald Nyako Mensah is a consultant, and we will be hearing from him next.